Hello and welcome to another War Thunder video, this time on the MiG-21SMT at 10.3. I wanted to make this video for two reasons. One, for the plane itself, and I'll discuss its strengths and weaknesses, and second, because of the battle rating. I have not enjoyed top tier or high tier recently due to the just horrendous balance and BR compression that we've been experiencing. But 10.3 seems decently balanced to me. I don't totally club in a down tier, and I don't totally get clubbed in an up tier, which is great, and it's been actually enjoyable. I don't feel like I've been forced to play or forced to grind. So get on 10.3, get on the MiG-21SMT. I would highly recommend it. Moving on to the plane itself, it has very identifiable strengths and weaknesses. It is not a jack-of-all-trades plane. You can't just fly it however you want. You need to approach it in a specific way and fly it in a specific way, and when you do, you'll be very successful. So, for its strengths, the probably first and foremost strength is the acceleration. The acceleration is completely cracked, it is utterly insane, and you get moving very, very quickly, and you do need to use this to your advantage. The next strength is going to be its top speed. It's quite good, it can move pretty quickly. It'll do about 1360 before you break on the deck, which is good. It's not the fastest, but it's far from the slowest. The missiles are also a strength, I would say. Every IR missile basically just gets one flared, more or less, especially at this BR these days. So the R60s having no flare resistance really isn't a big deal anymore. And when they don't flare, it's a 30G missile. And it can maneuver immediately. You can shoot these from 0.4 out, and they will nail your target. So the R60s are good. The R3S is also better than I would have expected. I've gotten some very, very cool kills with it. It comes in very handy sometimes. So I actually run one R3S and three R6s. So you've got good speed, good acceleration, and good missiles. Now, what don't you have? Well, you don't have energy retention. You have negative energy retention. This thing loses energy like no tomorrow. It is like just incredibly awful. You'll make 3 turns and then you're going 400. Probably the only thing that's worse than this energy retention is like the Draken, probably. So you need to be, and this goes for all the jets. I think I've said this in every single one of my jet videos. You need to maintain high speeds at all times. You really do need to maintain above Mach 1. It is very similar to the Draken in that scenario where you need to maintain above Mach 1 or around Mach 1. You can go slower in specific scenarios, but you need to make sure you can't get third-partied. You know, like if you are off in the corner and you need to reverse somebody, that's a good scenario where you can slow down. And it does make a few extremely sharp turns, so you can reverse people quite easily, and you can get that angle of attack quite easily. Alright, now moving to general strategy for the game. I tend to just go to the left here and try to gain a lot of speed, get around over Mach 1, hit the full afterburner when we get close to the energy chain, and then you just have to take these opportunistic targets. Especially at the start of the game, you really do not want to be turning in this thing, so you just got to stay high and choose the targets that you think you're going to be able to get. Now I'm just coming up behind this A7D here, a pretty prime target. I'm not firing a missile because I see that he's flaring, and the likelihood that my missile gets flared is just so high. I know I'm going to waste the missile. I'm not going to fire it. I think that's somewhat important to have a little bit of trigger discipline. I am running only 3 of the R60s, so I've got to make sure they're worth it when I use them. I'm still going above Mach 1, and now we're moving up onto this Crusader. He's engaged with an ally of mine. He's kind of on his 6, so it looks like I can come over here to help out. I do notice that he only has 1 wing, but he's firing missiles, he's maneuvering, and it is a Crusader, so I'm going to try to see if I can neutralize that anyway. I miss regardless, so no kill steal for me, and I'm going to have to move on. I'm not going to try to re-engage or anything like that, because turning around at this point would just lose me far too much speed. I have to maintain over Mach 1. You can see this F4S has done exactly what you're not supposed to do. He's probably going, I don't know, 700-800 right there. He was going very slow. Easy pick-off for me. Well, it actually wasn't a pick-off, and I will not get that kill. I will get an assist. I then try to get off a sneaky R3S, and I do believe this had a decent shot at hitting. I didn't really seem to see it, but the radar got confused when the targets crossed paths there. And it didn't miss. Obviously, this isn't a super fantastic radar or anything, so you know you got to choose your shots wisely. When you do get those R3S shots, though, they are beautiful. Now we're in a little bit of a dicey situation, but a situation that I don't mind. I have pulled 4 of them away and onto me, That means there's 4, well, that one F5 is turning around now, but that means 4 enemies are on me and not my allies. That should give us a numerical advantage. And I know that I'll probably be able to survive through them. Now, F5s combined with an F4S is a pretty brutal combo for the MiG-21, so I'm basically just going to keep extending here and hope that I can somehow isolate, you know, at least 1 or 2 of these guys and not have to fight 3 of them at the same time. Fighting an F4S and 2 F5s in the MiG-21 is really just not realistic. Even the 2 F5s alone, in terms of a dogfight, would not be advisable. The F5 is another one of the best planes at 10.3, with no doubt. It is a fantastic aircraft, but it has very different strengths and weaknesses. Its strength is dogfighting. I should not dogfight it. It will not go well for me. Now, if the enemy pilot is like a total potato, of course, I will still probably be able to make it work, but I don't know if they're total potatoes, and there's 2 of them. The F4S did turn off, but there's still 2 of them. So I'm just going to extend away here and see what sort of opportunities I can find in the rest of the match. I just simply cannot really engage these 2 F5s. The MiG-21 is not good at an extended dogfight. If there was only 1 of them there, I could think about doing a reversal, but with 2 of them there, that would just be extremely risky, and the game is far from over. So I want to go see if I can kind of engage with my teammates here. There is the possibility that I will try to bait a teammate, I'm not going to lie. But that's kind of just how it's done, and that's how we're going to win games, you know. If that Su-22 is going to get me a couple of kills in the game, then, well, the Su-22 did its part. But I am coming over here. I see this sort of wounded-looking F5. The 2 allied aircraft are getting out of there, so I'm eager to try to pick this guy off. He actually, unfortunately, flares my missile. See how easy it is to flare everything these days, but luckily I am able to snag that gun kill in there. And then, wouldn't you know it, the other 2 F5s have decided that the Su-22 is a juicier target than the MiG-21 that's been running away for 5 minutes straight. So they turn off him. And that's an important aspect about playing these games. You need to play off your teammates, with your teammates, bait your teammates. You know, you need to play with your team. One thing I like about this game in general is that I don't think there's anything particularly special I do in terms of maneuvering or aerodynamics that makes this game a success. I think I just made decisions that anyone could make, movements that anyone could make. It didn't take any sort of advanced plane control or anything like that. You're just going around the map and choosing opportunistic targets and taking moments that fit you best. You know, there was no crazy dogfighting. So now I'm actually going to skip ahead for the sake of video length. I just went back to base, rearmed, and now we got to get back here and finish this game off. The tickets are looking okay, and there is 2 enemies left, so I'm feeling pretty good. One of them is an F4S, and the F4S is one of your biggest nightmares just because it has the AIM-7F. AIM-7F is extremely powerful, and if you're caught in the wrong position, it can be like just utterly impossible to dodge. One of the main strategies I will use to avoid this missile is pretty much just staying on the deck, staying really, really low so that I can dodge any missiles that may try to surprise me. If it's a 1v1 or a scenario that I can control precisely, you may be able to be a little bit more flexible, but you know, you'll notice earlier in this game I was staying very low, and that's because I know it's a full up tier, I know there's F4Ss, and I need to avoid these AIM-7Fs. Now this F4S has already taken out several of our allied planes with the AIM-7Fs, but luckily the F4S is a premium player, he was not looking behind him, and he did not have flares. And in those situations where they don't pop flares, you saw the R60 is a 30G missile, and it pulls really, really hard. It pulls really, really well. I try to go for the sneaky R3S. Situations like these really are where it can come in handy. You can get these last-minute head-ons that are really spicy. Unfortunately, he is aware he's flaring constantly, and he does have chaff. If the radar lock wasn't moving when he flared, I would know he didn't have chaff, and I could still fire that missile. But it would have 100% missed, so I didn't fire it because, who knows, it may still come in handy. And now all that's left to do is, 2v1 an F5 with this other MiG-21, which really should be absolutely no problem. If it was a 1v1, I would have to be far more tactical. I would, see how good of a pilot he is, see what I can do. Probably eventually just end up trying to reverse and surprise him. But here, I'm currently just going to try to bait him for my teammate, actually. I'm not going to try anything fancy. I can see that my teammate's gaining on him, so I'm just going to maintain maintain my speed, maintain, you know, some distance, and let the friendly MiG-21 catch up to him. And then eventually he'll engage, and then I can turn around. So I am just playing this as a proper teammate here. Like I said earlier, you got to work with and off your teammates. It doesn't always have to be a one-man show. And sure enough, eventually he's going to pull off, and he's going to have to engage that other MiG-21. Immediately, of course, that means I'm going to re-engage. And turning around at this point doesn't matter. You know, look at this. I'm going 650 after one vertical. But it doesn't matter because there's nobody else around. I'm not going to get third party, and I have plenty of missiles. So as they're engaged in a fight here, I don't really know who's going to come out on top of this, but I just pop an R60. He's too engaged in the battle, and he goes down. So I really hope you enjoyed this display of MiG-21SMT, and next video might be a MiG-29. So I'll see you then.